It's an industry that I generally love. I have a passion for. I eat, sleep, I live for fitness.
No, you need to be obsessed. You need to wake up, think about it. You need to go to bed, think about your clients, think about your progress, think about what you can do better.
Genuinely, just be patient and take your time. That is you've got to take it all in the right steps. You've got to nail what you do in person before you go online.
I don't like to talk about fear. The fears is usually something that makes your worries real.
You are listening to the Coaching Ignited show, where we bring you stories and insights from coaches, fitness professionals and industry experts to help you expand your business and reach your goals. If you're a new listener, thanks for joining us. My name is Alex Povey. You can subscribe to the podcast on all your favorite apps, including Spotify and iTunes. The Coaching Ignited movement is on a mission to help coaches and personal trainers increase their sales and reach their full potential. If you wanted to find out more, please head over to CoachingIgnited.com. And if you wanted to connect with us on social media, all the details can be found in the show notes. Now let's get into today's show. On today's show, we've got Brendan Chaplin, the CEO of Strength and Conditioning Education. And on this episode, we discuss why your belief determines whether you succeed or fail in business. And we really drill down into some of Brendan's personal experiences with this and how knowledge and skills affect your confidence as a coach and how that really affects building your client base and your business overall, and what you need to learn to deliver results and body transformations and really stand out from the crowd and really succeed in the fitness industry. And if you stick around to the end, guys, there's also going to be a little discount code for you if you wanted to look at Brendan's S&C Level 4 course via Strength and Conditioning Education. So stick around for that. And really, this is a great show for anyone at any level who really wants to see things from a new perspective, but also just learn from the wealth of knowledge that Brendan has to offer. So I can't wait for you to get into this show. As always, let me know your thoughts. It's always great to get your feedback. Sit back, relax, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so we are live. So great to have you here, buddy. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
Kick stuff off by just talking about your backstory. You've got all these great things behind you. Anyone listening now, we were just discussing all these little achievements and milestones and stuff that have been going on in your life that you've got on the wall behind you. But how did that all start? How did this all come about?
Yes, great question. I still would define myself as at the very essence of what I do as a martial artist. So my background is martial arts, and I took up mixed martial arts and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and all the current things that we see so much now. But back in the day when I took it up, there was hardly anyone doing it. It was in its embryonic stage. So I really was incredibly passionate about not necessarily the outcome of the martial arts, but the process of just improving, basically. And at that point in time as a teenager, my vision at that point was to become a martial arts coach and open up a string of martial arts gyms. And I was really obsessed with the coaching process. But what happened was I got a number of injuries and rotator cuff and lower back and so on and so forth. And I basically had to do something about it. So my coach at the time, a guy called Carl Tanswell, I trained with a gym called the Straight Blast Gym, which is where Conor McGregor's from, and trained with John Kavanagh, Conor's coach, before Conor probably even started. And Carl Tanswell at the time lent me a video or a DVD to give me some information on how to rehab myself. And I watched this video, and it just blew my mind again, the depth and complexity, but also simplicity of training to rehabilitate yourself. And at that point, I basically became obsessed with strength and conditioning as we know it today. The person on that video was Mike Boyle, who's a very prominent coach from America. And so I pestered Mike on an email and said, can I come and work for you? Disappeared over to the States and did an internship and worked with Mike. Then I came back to the UK, started up my own strength and conditioning facility in Leeds, and ended up working for the English Institute of Sport, and this is pre-Beijing 2008. Worked with a number of athletes there from different sports, and then went with British tennis and rugby league, Huddersfield Giants, consulted with England golf and judo, and obviously worked with UFC and MMA fighters, and realised that the coaching element of that was what I was passionate about. It wasn't the sets and the reps, it was the coaching and the relationship building, and realised that that was the conduit for the results that you get. The program comes second to the relationships you're able to build. And at that point, I started writing a blog because I was passionate about sharing what I did. People started to inquire about how to get into strength and conditioning, which ended up being a mentoring program. And nowadays I have a company called Strength and Conditioning Education that delivers qualifications and training for people looking to get into strength and conditioning and youth fitness and so on and so forth. I have a company called Strength and Success that delivers business coaching and education. And I do consult with performance athletes and businesses and so on and so forth on coaching and leadership and structure. And I realized that coaching is my passion. Coaching is the thing that sits above everything else. Performance coaching, the techniques and tools and models that you use are different depending on who you're working with, if it's a business versus an athlete, for example. But that's essentially the last knocking on 15 years, maybe 17 years of my life in 2 minutes.
Love it. So was any of this planned out? So you went off and you discovered this whole world. Did you start mapping out this journey that you've been on, or did it just kind of fall into play? How did it play out?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's a bit of both. I think that unequivocally from start to finish, and well, not finish, but from start to now, I've always shared everything I've had. And that's driven purely by passion and by a desire to raise standards, but also just get feedback and just put things out there. So I share with no agenda on that. But when I went into martial arts, I wanted to be a world-class martial artist. When I went to strength and conditioning, I wanted to be a world-class strength and conditioning coach. And I had a number of criteria that would essentially qualify me as that. And then when I started to build strength and conditioning education as a business, I wanted to build a performance business and push as hard as I could to see how far I could go with that business. So it started out as a lifestyle business, and it was me. I was working full-time as a head of strength and conditioning, 5 days, 6 days a week, and I was building up an education business on the side, and it was a lifestyle business. And then I had to make that uncomfortable leap from the comfort zone of a paycheck into this is now full self-employment. And then later, as that business grew, another uncomfortable leap from being me and some people to this is now a proper business that needs cash flow, that we've got a board of directors and so on and so forth. And those psychological steps were driven by a desire to push as hard as I could and take it as far as I could. But also I de-risked that by actually planning that out as best I could and try to de-risk it as much as possible. There's no way to not have risk there, but you can take care of the downside as much as you can to make that risk a little bit more considered.
Can we talk about that? Yeah, can we talk about that a little bit more? So can we dive into that de-risking? So some of the measures that you took to de-risk the situation.
So I mean, it's a great discussion point, because I see it all the time. You might be the same in that, speaking to business owners, speaking to people who are super, super ambitious, but when it gets uncomfortable, there's planning there. And quite often you see people not grow themselves or their businesses not because they don't know what to do, but because they're just not quite ready, or they're not prepared to jump in and have a go. And I think it's a tough one to overcome. I don't consider myself as a risk taker, but I know a lot of people would consider me as that, but I genuinely don't. I think the best way to do it, first, education's key. Knowing the steps and knowing how to do things de-risks things in itself. So if you want to learn how to grow your business to a 6-figure business or a 7-figure business, or you want to learn how to get a job with elite athletes, or whatever's relevant and important to you, the education piece of doing that de-risks something, because you've got a greater chance of success, and you can actually see, okay, so I need to go from point A to B to C to D. So that's step one. But the second step is then actually you've got to want it enough to take the step from A to B to C to D, because there's still risk there. And I don't think loving what you do or having a passion for it is enough. You've got to really be able to say, I'm going to make this happen. It has to work. And sometimes that, finding that reason, whatever that reason is enough to take a step, and other times it's not, and perhaps people don't for that reason. So yeah, I'm musing a little bit here, mate, but that's sort of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, it's just an interesting topic, like you said. And did you figure all these steps out and connect the dots yourself, or did someone show you the dots and the steps to follow?
Nobody's ever done the model that you want to do exactly the same as you. So whilst you can get coaches and mentors and other people that are just great people to help you, nobody's ever done it exactly how you're going to do it. So you still got to go through that yourself. But I do think that I've never not been surrounded by people that I felt could add a lot of value. And I've always made a concerted effort to do that. It doesn't always have to, it's not like you've got to pay X pounds for this, but bringing in really good people. I've had business mentors since I was for over 10 years, and coaching mentors for longer than that have walked the path you're going to walk, or trying to walk, or a version of that path, and have specific skill sets and knowledge that you may not have, or not have to the same degree. It's unbelievably valuable to have that network and that support network to help you.
We were having this discussion the other day on the podcast with another guy I recorded with on Sunday, and we were talking about why coaches need coaches just like everyone else. Just because you're a coach doesn't mean you can't be coached. Yeah. I think maybe it's a pride thing sometimes. When you're a coach, you feel like you should be in charge. You're the alpha or the dominant person in the situation, so you shouldn't have to seek for help. But it's kind of like a short and narrow way of looking at the situation, because there's huge upside to getting someone that can actually make you accountable and show you the steps that you've not seen before, right?
I agree. I mean, I split it into 3 boxes. I think there's, when I look at what's helped me, I think there's 3. There's coaches, there's mentors, and there's consultants. And I'm not necessarily of course, people like friends and business associates also are in there too. But I've been through different phases, and I see it with the people I work with now. Sometimes you're not coachable, and it's not the right time for you to get a coach that is going to give you a kick up, because it's like, no, I know exactly what I need to do. I just need to do it now. So at that phase of your life, or that phase of the journey, it might not be a coach that you need there. A mentor is somebody who's sort of telling you what to do, and perhaps usually they've been there before. They might be a business owner that's a bit further down the line than you. They might be a coach that's a bit further down the line than you, or a specific type of coach that can work on a certain area. And again, there's times there where you think, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Or I need to bounce ideas off you as to how to apply this strategy in my own business and my own career. And then there's consultants that you can bring in that are a kind of hybrid of the other two, but they actually do the work as well. And I think there's times where it's the right thing to do to invest in a consultant to say, I'm going to build all that for you, or I'm going to work in this way with you and get it done. So I think having those three boxes, think which is right for me right now. Do I need somebody who's going to challenge me, question me on a routine basis? Do I need somebody who's going to tell me what to do with a bit of challenge as well? Or do I need somebody who's actually going to do it, but coming in from a senior position that I regard highly? And I think if you can flick between those three, you might have a coach with you for years, but also have a number of consultants as well. There's no right or wrong, but I think having those three people certainly helped me anyway.
Yeah, that's super interesting how you kind of describe the different levels and the different type of people. And I think they kind of merge into each other a lot of the time, don't they?
They do. You can have somebody who can do all three.
Yeah, like they blend, right? But like, let's take it from a personal trainer's perspective and in their journey. So you've got, let's say, an offline personal trainer. They're working face-to-face with clients. What sort of level would they be looking at? Are they looking for another coach? Would they be looking for a mentor? Would they be looking at a consultant? Maybe a consultant's too much for them. Maybe they don't need a consultant with the level of business they've got. If you've got a coach or a personal trainer like that, what level do you think they need to be looking towards if they want to upskill, or if they want to increase their revenue, or they want to make more impact in their business?
So I guess the whole thing starts with, what do you want out of it as that coach, as that trainer, as that whoever, this person is. And so sometimes you might be lucky enough to know exactly what you want. I want to build this performance gym. I want to train 1,000 people. I want to train celebrities. I want to train elite rugby players. And that's a really definitive understanding and clarity on what you want. And so with that type of thing in mind, the mentor model works really well, because you can then go and say, right, this person is world-class at training rugby players. I'm going to ask them if they'll support me and can mentor me and sense check me along the way. But if you don't know that, you might not know what that is. And that's somewhere a good coach can help to get that clarity with you, to help you open up your vision and see what could be achieved, and shine a light on some of the areas of weakness that you might have, can help you to map out a course of action to develop some of the strengths that you've got, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, I think if you know what you want, then go and find somebody who's done that or done a similar version of it. Ask them to mentor you and help them. And you're right, it's going to be this coach, mentor. Sometimes they're going to ask you the questions and challenge you. Sometimes they're going to say, you just need to do this now. Yeah. Crack on with it. And I think that's a smart approach. But it does come from understanding, actually, what do you want out of this? And that's the first phase. And if you can figure that out by yourself, go get a mentor. If you can't, then try and work with people who can help you to see that a little bit.
So all these things that you've done up to this point, all these different businesses that you've launched, all these different steps that you've taken, is there been like some consistent things that you've done every single time to make sure that they've succeeded and not failed?
Well, they've not all succeeded. I've had some things that I've shut down and so on and so forth. But
maybe we can talk about those and why they failed and what you could have done differently. But there must be common things that you've been applying every single time. Okay, if I launch this new thing and I follow this blueprint to a degree, obviously there's lots of different variables. It can go wrong in lots of different ways. But if I implement it like this, or I plan it out like this, or I take these steps, or I get this person involved, then I know it's going to have the best chance of success.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of launching stuff, I just think you've got to get what is in your head out. And the longer it stays in your head, firstly, you don't get paid for an idea. You only get paid when something's done. And secondly, the more chance you are of talking yourself into that it's not good enough. So one of the things I strongly subscribe to that has definitely helped me is minimizing the time from an idea to action. So if you can take an idea, put it in front of somebody, or people, the quicker you can do that, the better you get the feedback for that idea, and the better the idea and that whole thing becomes then, because you can shape it. I think that's number one. The second thing that goes along with that is asking the people that you serve, what do they want? What is going to help them to overcome their problems? And so you need to be able to build a community. You need to actually have, and I'm not saying that you need some massive social media following. If you've got 5 personal training clients, ask all 5 of them, what would they really like to see from you? And then go and build it. And don't take 6 months over it. Do it in a week. Do it in 2 weeks. So minimizing the time from idea to action, asking people and seeking what they want, and then building it and giving it to them. That's the essence of entrepreneurship there. And I think the third thing is just some personal habits of showing up every day, being consistent. Don't take a month off. When I first started blogging, and I started to send emails saying, I've just written this blog, there it is, and directing people to it. It took me quite a long time to build the habits of doing that on a regular basis, because I didn't really know what the other side looked like. I didn't know what would happen if I did do that. So I kind of talked myself into like, well, maybe I don't need to do it that much. And so what would happen is I set a target to write 3 blogs a week back in the day, built my own website, and it was just a really basic, this is what I've just done in the gym with this athlete. This is what I've done with this group of people. And it wasn't always 3 times a week. But I started blogging and did it consistently. And it was really only when I was nailing that 3 times a week and 3 emails to my database to tell those people, here's this blog that you might like, here's this, that I really realized I've got the essence of a business here. And I think it's a bit like dieting, or a bit like sticking to a training program. It's absolutely fine to have slips. It's absolutely fine to have cheat days, to have phases where you're like, you know what, I'm just not in the mood for training. But the growth process of grafting in those habits, that actually then 3 blogs a week, you start to think, I'm not even working now. And I'm going to do 4, I'm going to do 5, I'm going to do 3 blogs, and I'm going to do a daily Facebook post and a this post and that post. You build those habits over time. So the personal habits of showing up every day and staying focused on what you're doing is the catalyst that complements minimizing the time from getting the ideas out of your head and in front of people, and seeking consultation from the people that you serve as to what they would like from you next. Does that make sense?
Yeah, they're all very powerful points. And particularly the second one that you mentioned about basically asking the market what they want and then building it, rather than building a product that you think they want and then trying to sell it to them. Because I think that's where you can get tricked. Build an amazing product and everyone will come and buy it. But what we have to remember is it's not about us, it's about them. And that's the exact same process that we followed with our business. We didn't come up with the idea. We went to market, we spoke to 100 trainers and said, tell me, what are your deepest and darkest problems? What keeps you up at night? What do you hate about your business? What is really like bugging you? Tell me what that is. Document. Repeat the process over and over again until you've got all that data, and then you go away, you build it, you come back and go, here you go, here's the solution.
Yeah.
And that's really how you can build any product. You basically just put your ear to the market, you listen to the problem, and then you just build it and hand it back to them. And it's the same with just the simplest things like a sales process or a taster session. You listen, they tell you all the pain points, you repackage it up and send it back, and then they go, wow, that's the perfect product that I was looking for. It's because you told me what it was.
Yeah.
But I think people overlook how simple it can be. Just let them tell you what they want and give it to them, right? But also the other point you mentioned about speed to react, that's powerful. Because I think I did a post on social media last night about overthinking, because it's easy to overthink and just let that thought process take over and stop you from taking action. But the ones that are quickest to react, like yourself, have managed to achieve things.
It's the perfection trap, isn't it?
Yeah,
I call it perfection paralysis. And I get it. We're all passionate about what we do. Personal trainers and coaches they want to do things really well, and I totally understand that. But you can't do something really well until you get reaction and feedback to what you've already done. And so you end up festering in this trap of like, oh, I need to get this right. It needs to be, it's like, actually now it's done. Somebody else has done that now. Or you've changed, or they don't need that anymore, or they found it a hybrid solution. Like, no, ask people and then build it and do it quickly. It really is quite simple.
Yeah, it's like, I get it. Like, you want to keep that standard, but you don't want it to be super polished and perfect, because perfection doesn't exist. So if you're always chasing perfection, it will lead to what you said, paralysis. And it's probably better to just churn out maybe 3-4 pieces of content and have a good amount of people see it, than try and create that one perfect piece of content and no one sees it because it just gets buried straight away anyway. So you've just wasted all that time.
Yeah.
But I think that comes down to not caring too much about what people think. Obviously, keep your standards high, but I think a lot of people, myself included, I've been subject to this, is you get paralyzed by people's opinions. It comes up every single time on the podcast. Don't know whether it's because I just mentioned it, but like, it is a common thing, right? That's one of the biggest blockers of people taking action, building businesses, getting shit done, is other people's opinions, and generally people they don't even care about.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's what you have two choices. You either grow a thick skin and you drive yourself forward by the passion that you've got to make an impact, or you stay playing small. That's it. And I chose the former, because you just think, how long have you got on this earth, to give yourself the best chance, and you owe it to yourself to look back and think, actually, I pushed as hard as I could. I did make a contribution here. And this is, we're getting a bit fluffy, but this is not about, pounds in the bank or like building a business of X size. It's actually looking back and think, I had a bloody good go at making a real impact, and I drove myself forward with that in mind. And of course there's challenges along the way, but surely you don't want to look back and think, no, actually I stopped at this point because I really didn't want to take any more criticism or any criticism, full stop. That's not something that works well or resonates with me personally. But I do understand exactly what you mean. In people are paralyzed by that fear, and you do have to grow a thick skin and understand that if you try and please everybody, nobody. So if you want to make your impact and your mark on the audience that you serve and the people that you're passionate about, you have to accept that some people are not going to like that. But the people that do will love it. And that feels better than having an inordinate amount of people that either don't know who you are or kind of think you're like, whatever, for me anyway.
Yeah, I think you need to be like one or the other. Like, I think the worst thing you can be is middle. Because then you're just like in the middle with everyone else. You either need to be like super silent, nothing going on, or extreme, or on one side. You don't really want to be 1 foot in one camp, 1 foot in the other, because it's not a strong enough opinion and no one will hear it.
Sure.
You need to stick to your guns, right? I'm quite intrigued by all the things that you've got behind you. I know you mentioned some of those things before we jumped on the call. And I want to get into maybe some of the highlights. But also I think it's important to know that with all those highlights that you've got in the background, you talked about some of the things that you had to shut down that just didn't work. But you're okay with that, right? Because there's loads of other things that have turned out great for you. Can we talk about some of the things that didn't work and why you decided to like cut the cord and exit, or just shut it down? What happened there?
There's a few reasons. The main reason that something didn't work or didn't work as well as I'd have wanted it to work, when I think back, it does boil down to focus, because if you don't put the muscle behind something, then why would it grow? Why would it be a success? So, it's kind of going all in. And I think the things that I did that maybe didn't work that well was because I didn't go all in. And the reason I didn't go all in was either because of a genuine timing thing. So I had something else that was more important, or it's a psychological thing of I don't know if I believe fully in this, or maybe it's not quite congruent with my values. So one of the examples was I had a number of high profile, wealthy personal training clients back in the day. So I've always trained athletes, but I've always also trained general public. I really enjoy general public training. I think there's different challenges, and it's really valuable doing that. And I had a number of high net worth personal training clients. And when you train clients for a long time, you build relationships, you get closer to those people. And long story short, I ended up training these people in another country intensively for a week. And it was very, very profitable for me. And I did a number of weeks of this type of training. And then I had a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine I went to school with, who's a PR expert, public relations expert. And he basically convinced me to build a business doing this type of training. So like, you pay for a week, you go to anywhere in the world, blah, 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 blah. So the business is excellent. The model is superb. And he got me some amazing PR. We had the Telegraph, the Times, I had a guy from the Mirror come up and train with me. I had literally PR all over the place. But I always, in the back of my mind and in my heart, really, again, a bit fluffy, but in my heart, felt a resistance, because that's not my market and I didn't want to do that. And so when it came down to it, there was a resistance psychologically for me to go all in with that business. And I actually wanted to help coaches, and I could tell you that it's about building my other business, and there was some legitimate timing issues as well, but essentially I shut that down because I felt like this is just not quite right for me. This is not the way that I want to go right now. I'm not saying it isn't in the future, but at the time there was just a conflict there in my mind. So I think if you're going to be successful in business, you need to be really, truly passionate, but also aligned with what that business is or where that business is going to take you, and be confident with that. Now, and you can't future pace that all the time. And there are times where you're like, oh wow, we're getting big here, and I need to handle that. I'm now, liaising with different people, and I need to think about my profile and so on and so forth. But I think you know where you're at. If that business feels like the right thing for you to stick your chips in and really push hard, you have that feeling of alignment there. And I think that is a mistake that I made of trying to push forward with something that I wasn't truly aligned with back in the day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you know what I love about what you just said? You didn't blame it on outside factors. It was all an internal thing. Belief system, timing for you, didn't have all your chips in. That's what I picked up. It's an internal thing.
Yeah.
Which tells me when you do set your mind to something, it can be done, but you've got to believe. And if you don't believe, you can't conceive it, and it doesn't succeed, right?
Yeah, totally. You've got to, yeah. And that's where coaches and mentors come in well, because they can help you with that belief. They can help to paint the picture, but it's you that's going to do it at the end of the day. So you've got to be okay with, like, actually, yeah, this is going to happen. I'm doing it. I'm sticking my chips in and making it happen. So, yeah, the failures are really important. The failures are, I'm thankful for them, and It's helped shape. It helps shape who you are, and the challenges mentally that you go through. They add resilience to the version of the person that you are today. So you got to say thanks to those things that happen.
It's a bit cliche, isn't it? Always talking about the failures, and everyone always says how great are lessons they are. But what you've got to appreciate is you have to have the failure to get the success. Otherwise, you don't know what success feels like. It's just like anything, right? There's got to be hot and cold, up and down, day and night, heads or tails. There's always an opposite to the upside or the downside.
Yeah.
Once you're comfortable knowing that, then failure doesn't seem like failure or a downside. It just seems like part of the process of experiencing life.
Yeah, there is no pain without pleasure, and it gives you perspective in general. But also, it's like, why would it work first time? Why would that just be a success at the click of your fingers? Surely that is a stupid thing to even contemplate. You've got to be prepared to try a few 1RM squats before you hit that squat.
Yeah, then it makes it more satisfying.
Yeah.
Like, if you fail and then you achieve, then it's so much sweeter. So I'm always looking for that failure or that point of disappointment, because I know the upside is going to taste that much sweeter when I do get there. And it's about the process. I don't really approach life looking for a destination per se anymore. I used to when I was a lot younger, because you're young, right? You want everything. You want to buy dumb shit. You want to buy watches. You want cars. You're looking for the destination. If I get to this point, everything's going to be great. But as you get older and older, you realize when you get to that point, that's not the end. You've still got to go to the next one. And if you're constantly chasing the destination, you're never going to be truly fulfilled or happy. So I've learned to just enjoy the process, the failings, the successes, the bad and the good. And that's my philosophy now towards life, right? Just enjoy that process of growth. Because you'll never get to a destination. And when you get there, you're going to be gone anyway. Because we don't last forever, right? We're not immortal. So some of those things that you've got behind you, some of the highlight reels, what's been some of the big moments in your career? What are you most proud of in terms of what you've got behind you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a privilege to be a part of somebody else's journey and to be invited into their life to contribute. So when I look at, my clients and the athletes that I've worked with some great athletes and shared moments that are really, really cool. With some of those athletes, being cage side at the UFC, cornering athletes there, having athletes perform at the Olympics or athletes nominated for Sports Personality of the Year, and so on and so forth. It's brilliant. Those are amazing. But it's just nice to be a part of that. I'm really proud of what strength and conditioning education. I don't take it. It's certainly not all me that's built that business, because we've got a fantastic team there and people that are better than I am at their respective disciplines. There's no question on that. But I'm really, really proud of the contribution that we're making there. And we have about 1,000 PTs a year go through that. So from a business perspective, I'm proud of the impact that our students are making and raising the standards and achieving their version of success. That's incredibly fulfilling to me as a coach, to see other people fulfilling their versions of success. I've enjoyed writing for magazines. I've enjoyed, being part of athlete journeys and so on and so forth. But I think more than anything, it's working with coaches and trainers to help them see the challenges they're facing, help them overcome them, and ultimately survive and thrive, I think is a better word, thrive in an industry that most people don't even survive in,
Love it. Can we talk a little bit more about the S&C education?
Sure. Yeah. What would you like me to touch on?
That was a bit more about like what it involves, why you're so proud of that particularly, and maybe from a personal training perspective, looking from the outside, like what is it? What does it include?
Yeah, so the business really Strength and Conditioning education, it sort of does what it says on the tin. We started off as an online coaching business and an online products business, so selling workshops and seminars to people all over the world that they could download and watch. And then it morphed into a mentorship program, so helping people to gain and develop the skills of elite coaches, both technical skills and coaching soft skills. And then we've added the business side into that. So our level 4 course, it's a level 4 S&C course. So it goes obviously above the level 3 classic PT. Covers everything that allows you to then work with performance athletes, teams, have a gym and a business, but more importantly, utilize the skills of elite coaching and the technical skills and soft skills of that with your existing client base. So I've never ever thought of strength and conditioning as this is reserved for elite athletes. It's the way I define it is it's elite coaching, but we're not elitist. And so the programs are accessible to everybody, any PT, and we've got a pathway that takes you through from being an aspiring coach to a qualified coach. And no doubt about it, the coaches that qualify, they start off as trainers. There's a big psychological mindset shift in there. They come out as coaches and they build great businesses. And they survive in an industry that doesn't really favour people that you know have a basic level qualification. It needs somebody who's able to deliver transformational results, and that's something I come back to a lot. Excuse me, that whole word of, can you deliver genuinely transformational results and experiences for your clients? I don't mean transformation like, can you get somebody shredded in 8 weeks? I mean like a psychologically and physically transformational change where they are a different person at the end of it with a different set of skills and capabilities. And the answer, brutally honest, is most people can't, because it needs genuine coaching skills, the ability to question somebody, the ability to challenge somebody, the ability to deliver the message in a number of different ways. If way 1 doesn't get across, way 2 doesn't get across, let's do it in the third way, and put a roadmap in place for them to follow that facilitates change. So if you can then deliver genuinely transformational results that our courses teach you, you are in the 0.01% of trainers globally, straight away. So I look at that and I think everybody talks about disruption, right? This is a disruptive industry. This is disruptive technology. Disruption in personal training is being, number 1, a genuine coach, and number 2, a coach who can deliver transformational change, because 99.9% of trainers and coaches cannot do that. So if you can take somebody through a genuine change process, you're already ahead of the masses, able to charge higher fees and get retention that's far and far ahead of other people, and so on and so forth. So the best way to disrupt your industry, to raise your fees and build a great business, is have an unbelievable product at the base of what you do. So, you know, imagine if you bought an Apple product tomorrow that you'd paid more for than anything else. You got it home and it broke down and it was crap. They might sell you one, but they're not selling you it again. Imagine if you get that product home and it's better than you ever imagined, which a lot of Apple products are, even though we've got high expectations. You're going to keep purchasing that. Even though it's more expensive, you're going to value that. And if your product at the base of the pyramid here, you are an excellent coach, able to deliver transformational change time and time again to every single client that you work with, people will value that and pay top dollar for it and get better results from it. And that's what we do on the level 4 and with SCE. It's designed to deliver that, and the coaches that we have validate that, really.
I couldn't agree more with the point you made about the product and the result and just the quality, and the analogy you made with Apple, because it's the same with any big brand or product. They don't have to send you through some crazy marketing scheme or funnel or upsell. They just wicked product. You know, if you buy it, you're going to get a great experience. Then you're going to keep back and buying more. And I did a post, created some content for my community today, actually talking about this very subject, because a lot of people struggle with approaching people. Now, there's obviously a lot of variables why, but one of the reasons that I believe, and you'll probably agree with me, is because they don't believe in their product. And so it feels like they're selling because it doesn't feel like a win to the other side.
Yes.
One of the big ways to be able to overcome that fear that you're selling something is build an amazing product or have an amazing service. And then it won't feel like you're selling anymore, because you'll feel like you're doing someone a genuine win, right? If they buy your product, they're going to win.
Yeah.
That comes back to the continued education, and why I am very pro education. I think the term is called Kaizen as well, where you're constantly just improving, upskilling, just add more to your locker. That's really just going to help you and build your confidence, right? It's a psychological thing. When you layer it in with the sales and your product, you've got a great business. Now, as we kind of wrap things up and bring it to the end, I want to kind of get your advice. So obviously we're going to have a lot of personal trainers listening to this podcast, all different levels. What would your advice be to those people that are listening, for them to have a great year, to be successful in what they do and really achieve all the things that they want to achieve? What would be some of the things that you'd want to tell those people?
Great question. Great question. Yeah, I think first and foremost, you're probably familiar with this in your community, but I think spending some time every day and week working on your business, not in your business. It might be creating valuable content. It might be working on the structure of your program so that you can take something out to, minimize that time from idea to action again, as we've discussed. Spending time working on your business, moving it forward every single day is a cornerstone here. I think allocating a percentage of your revenue or your income that you bring in to continued development, mentoring, coaching, and just growing your whole knowledge base in whatever way possible is definitely something that I would suggest as well. And making sure that you're showing up and you're fully present in your coaching sessions with those people. It sounds so obvious, but people that are not fully present don't get full buy-in. And so time on the phone or being not punctual, or just set the standards of your service super high so that people remark in a positive way about you. That's the word of mouth is so powerful, and so you can have the complicated marketing funnel out there, but your clients and your customers are not leaving that session feeling a sense of being absolutely blown away by the quality of your coaching and your program and the whole experience. The experience is massive. It's not just the sets and reps. It's from the moment they get to the environment to the moment they leave. And even when they leave, with your whole follow-up and so on and so forth, just make their experience amazing. And it gives you the right then to ask them for referrals. As you touched on in your last point, it gives you the belief and the confidence to say, this is great, this product is really, really world class. And it makes the whole process of sales and business growth and personal growth so much easier when you know that you've got a fantastic underpinning product that the world must know about. So, three simple things there from me. Show up every day, work on your business, not in your business, and make your product world class.
I'm smiling on the other side of the screen here, just listening to what you're saying, because they're all just great points. Really, really love that, Brendan. Really love that. Thank you so much for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
If anyone wants to find more about you Where can they find you? What's your social media? What's the website so that people can go and check out your company or look more into you?
So I'm just at Brendan Chaplin on most platforms, the usual ones. I have a free Facebook coaching group with a load of free resources and videos in there called Strength and Success Accelerated with Brendan. So you can look at that, or maybe you can share a link on that one, Alex.
Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes.
Thank you. And then the other business, Strength and Conditioning Education, is just at S&C Education or strengthandconditioneducation.com. We have a level 4 course, as I mentioned, and if you guys, anybody listening in, wants to do that, we'll leave a link for that. But if you mention my name, just say Brendan when you speak to one of the sales team, and they'll look after you with a good offer, a good discount there as a favour to you, Alex, and for your community.
Awesome. Cool. So we should definitely meet up for coffee sometime, meet face to face, not just over the internet.
Yeah, sure.
We're not miles apart. But again, thank you so much. I'm always grateful for the guests to come on and spending your time with us and our community. So enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll speak soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and take care, everyone listening.
See you later, buddy. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning into the show. I hope you enjoyed it, guys. If you did, head over to your favorite app and leave us a short review. I'd really appreciate that. And if you wanted to learn more about our products and services, head over to CoachingIgnited.com. And if you wanted an awesome website built for your coaching business, head over to our partner company, SavectaMedia.com. That's all from me. See you soon.